All right. Good stuff, a lot of victories, but it hasn't all been good. And there have been some setbacks. And here's one. Daily Wire reports a federal judge has ruled Friday that a Tennessee law intended to shield children from sexually explicit performances is unconstitutional. U.S. District Judge Thomas Parker said a law that blocked children from being exposed to adult cabaret performances, including sexually explicit drag shows, was unconstitutionally vague and substantially overbroad. Quote, there's no question that obscenity is not protected by the First Amendment, but there is a difference between material that is obscene in the vernacular and material that is obscene under the law, Parker wrote. Simply put, no majority of the Supreme Court has held that sexually explicit but not obscene speech receives less protection than political, artistic, or scientific speech. Parker, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump, said that the law would also allow discriminatory enforcement. Parker said, quote, whether some of us may like it or not, the Supreme Court has interpreted the First Amendment as protecting speech that is indecent but not obscene. According to a summary of the law, which was signed by Governor Bill Lee, it, quote, creates an offense for a person who engages in an adult cabaret performance on public property or in a location where the adult cabaret performance could be viewed by a person who is not an adult. The definition of adult cabaret performance in the law includes male or female impersonators. So, and of course, the people responsible for the law, Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, said he's disappointed in the ruling. He hopes that the Tennessee Attorney General would appeal the decision, and the Attorney General better appeal it. This is a ridiculous ruling. It's absolutely absurd, and this needs to go all the way to the Supreme Court. You know, first, it's like we're once again acting like we don't understand what the word obscene means, or like there's some sort of ambiguity here. There really isn't. And in this case, you know, it's pretty specific. You know, it bans sexually explicit performances in front of children. It mentions adult cabaret performances. Like that's pretty specific, okay? And it's intended to outlaw a certain kind of performance in front of kids. And in 99.9% of cases, we all know exactly what that is. So we always get hung up in the gray area. Well, if this law is put into effect, then what about all these other unrelated things that might get caught up in it? There's not much of that. Like the gray area here is very, very small. There's always going to be a gray area in any law. Okay, there are always going to be cases where the enforcement is a bit ambiguous. That happens with any law at all. But with this one, that's extremely limited. And anything else that gets caught up in it, it's probably for the best anyway. The 1-year anniversary of Roe v. Wade being overturned is coming up, and since then, the left has lost their minds, of course. Pro-life efforts, which are more important now than ever, are booming. You heard that right. Despite the narrative, pro-lifers didn't go away. They increased in number. 40 Days for Life is changing hearts and minds in the most blue pro-abortion states. They've had a record number of locations since Roe was overturned. They grew in both volunteers and locations with about 1 million volunteers in 1,500 cities. They hold peaceful vigils outside abortion facilities. This success has come with new unwanted attention from the federal government and the DOJ in regards to free speech. As one of the largest pro-life organizations in the world, no one is in a better position than 40 Days for Life to end abortion in each state in a post-Roe America. You can help them fight the ongoing legal battles of protecting free speech for their volunteers, including Mark, the 40 Days for Life volunteer who had his house raided by the FBI. Help them defend free speech by giving a tax-deductible gift of any amount at 40daysforlife.com. That's 40daysforlife.com. You know, it takes a special kind of company to want to partner with my show. I say a lot of things that make a lot of people angry, and this tends to scare off advertisers. That's why I'm so grateful to partners like Pure Talk, who stand behind me and my show, no matter the consequences they might face. Pure Talk shares my values, which is why we've made them the official cell phone wireless partner of the Daily Wire. But that's not the only reason. Pure Talk offers the most dependable 5G network in the U.S. I use it myself. Their plans are top tier, but at a fraction of the cost of AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. You get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data with a mobile hotspot for just $55 a month. You vote with how you spend your money, so stop supporting woke wireless companies that don't support you. Instead, go to puretalk.com/Walsh. You'll get great coverage and save while you're at it. When you go to puretalk.com/Walsh, you'll save an additional 50% off your month because they actually value you. That's puretalk.com/Walsh, Pure Talk, wireless, for Americans, by Americans. Like, if we're looking at a certain type of performance and we're asking ourselves, is this too sexually explicit for children? You know, would this also be barred under this law? Well, if we have to ask that question to begin with, then probably, yeah, it should be included. Second, this is not a law restricting speech. It doesn't say that you can't engage in these kinds of performances. That's not the law. It just says you can't do it in front of kids. And so this judge says, well, there's a distinction between sexually explicit and obscene, which I think is an absurd distinction to begin with and incoherent. But when we're talking about speech that can be simply banned outright, like maybe that distinction is relevant. But here we're talking about speech that can be that can be performed, because really these are performances. We're talking about performances in front of kids. And everyone agrees, in principle anyway, that sexually explicit performances shouldn't be in front of kids, shouldn't be done in front of kids. Or everyone did agree with that until about 15 seconds ago. Does it have to qualify as obscene and sexually explicit? Why would it? Again, we're not talking about banning this outright, which personally wouldn't bother me if they did, but that's not what the law says. The law is saying, okay, you want to do that, you want to have your adult cabaret performance, you can do that. It can't be in front of kids is all. Go do it somewhere where kids can't see it. Is that so difficult? Is that so hard? No, it's the activists and the actual the people who support these performances who are saying, well, if we can't do it in front of kids, there's no point. If you tell us we can't do it in front of kids, you're basically banning us because we don't even want to do it at all if we can't do it in front of kids. The whole point is to be in front of kids. That's apparently what they're saying. Which is all the more reason why this law is necessary. Thanks for checking out this video. If you'd like to listen to my full podcast on the go, you can check out The Matt Walsh Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.